All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's basketball meeting. This is actually the last statewide hosted meeting of the year. Hard to believe it's already over. It just began, but it's been going on for months. So it's very confusing right now, but this is our last meeting of the year. Next week, all of the local groups will be responsible for having their own meetings. So you'll be getting an email about that on Friday. But tonight we're closing it out, and I believe we're going to be closing it out rather strong this evening. So tonight's presenters are from the Southwest region, and we will be having a presentation this evening about the evolution of good partnering. So it's something that I think is a great topic. It's a good way to close as we're wrapping up the season, and definitely something to think about as we move into next season, and hopefully it'll be a little more normal and maybe at the time of the year that we're used to as well. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our presenters for this evening. We have with us tonight Walt Sanchez from the Las Cruces Basketball Officials Association and Mark Martinez from the Silver City Basketball Officials Association, and they will be your presenters for this evening. So as usual, if you've got any questions relevant to the topic, feel free to put those in the chat. And if you can hold any off-topic questions until the end, we would appreciate it. So Walt, Mark, the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. Happy to be here with all of you today. I'm going to give me 1 second here to share my screen here. And Dana, if you can give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Beautiful. I got my buddy Mark here with us, and again, thank you guys all for being here. Before we get started, because I'm horrible at saying thank you to everybody, before we even get started, I want to thank the NMOA, Sally, Dana, Nate, the entire NMOA staff for your help making sure we organize this. I think this has been a great thing for our state. Thank you all to thank you also to our guest presenters, college officials, assigners, and everybody else that contribute to our growth this season. And thank you also to all of our regional presenters. I think I speak for the entire state when I say that I think that we've got an outstanding group of officials who did a fantastic job in training and sharing everything that you guys shared with us this season. So thank you to all of you guys. Outstanding job. The reason we picked this topic to share with you is like I said, our state did a great job of doing the X's and O's and the clips and everything else, and it's been such an off year for all of us. We get so much training here in New Mexico, and we're constantly picking up these nuggets of knowledge, but we never really sit down and visit and have discussion about the entire process, start to finish. And hopefully this evening we can have some conversations and we can share some things with you that'll help us as we go into the off season of this very, very shortened season, something to reflect on and something to think about as we move forward. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mark Martinez, Silver City group leader. When I started putting this presentation together, I asked Mark, I said, hey, will you do me a favor and just put together a short 7 to 10 minute presentation about your career. You've been in the Silver City area for a long time. You kind of grew up there. You're a homegrown guy. Just talking about your officiating career and kind of how you got to it. And as he shares this this presentation with you guys, you know, try to match calls, so to speak. Try to think about, reflect a little bit about, you know, some of the things that remind you of some of the things that Mark talked about, so that we can continue to kind of drag those through our presentation and reflect a little bit as we go through this. So without further ado, here's my buddy Mark Martinez at Silver City. Let's talk a little bit about why we officiate.
All right. Thanks, Walt. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into this. So why we officiate. All right. So the love of basketball. I know we all have it. That's why we're here. So the reason I started doing it, the gym felt at home to me. Okay. That's kept my love for basketball, for the game, it kept it there. If we think about it, no one else has the seat in the house, the best seat in the house that we have. We see it from firsthand, and there's no aspect of it that can get better than that. All right. For those of you that called in a huge crowd, when it goes nuts, when their home team scores, God, there's no better rush and to hear that when you're in that sold out gym. When we think about it, the challenge, there's times that we may think, all right, we got this game mastered. And all of a sudden there's a situation that comes up in a game that we have. We're like, oh, man, this game shows us different. It shows, nope, you haven't mastered me yet. There is situations we don't know about. All right. The release, people I've ref with, some of my mentors, Tom Powers, may he rest in peace, Steve Aguirre, they've always told me when you go to a game, those 2 hours that you're there, nothing else is more important than that game taking place at that time. Once we leave that game, we can get back to our lives, whatever situation we're in, to whatever's taking place at home, at work, just those daily routines. But when we're in the gym doing our thing, it's our release. When you think about it, it gives us new friendships. I didn't know Walt 5 years ago. Then I started going to cruises a little bit more. I got to know Walt, just other people throughout the state that we all meet. And those friendships, they end up being sometimes some of the best friendships we have throughout the whole state and with other people. Then also it's made me a better person. It's made me hear people out when they see a side, see a different side, different story. It gives you more patience just hearing people talk, hearing their side, hearing their point of view. And it makes you think about certain situations where you're not going to be trying to overtalk to them or just, just hear them out. Go ahead, Walt. Thanks, sir. So we all have a different backstory of how we became officials. Mine, it's pretty crazy. I was a punk kid, 18 years old. I went to go watch a football game down at Cobre High. I graduated from there, and I was with some buddies, and they needed some people on the chain gang. So I was like, yeah, I'll go do it for $10. So at halftime of that game, I went into the locker room with the officials, and there was Tom Powers. He asked me, well, what are you doing with your life right now, Mark? So I told him, well, Tom, I'm just going to college. He's all, you interested in making some money? I told him, yeah, how? Go and come officiate. You can make a pretty penny and help pay for school. So I thought about it, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a try. And here I am, 18, 19 years later, still doing it. And it's been a blessing. It's been fun. Also, being close to the game, being a high school kid, a kid growing up with parents or coaches, I grew up in a gym. And I grew up in the gym. So if it was we were at, or if it was in service when they had to be there, there was me and my brother playing hoops in the gym, being little macriados, messing around, playing basketball in the gym. That was our life growing up. In small towns, everybody's been there. If you're from a small town, you grow up playing sports, you end up becoming well-known throughout the community. All right. And you get to know those officials. That's how I got to know, like I said, Tom and a few other guys from the Silver City group. I knew them from who they were officiating. So that's how my story kind of came to be. And again, since I wasn't playing no more, this is the closest possible I could get to the game. Experiences. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my first game ever. It was pretty crazy. It was at a junior high game, a junior high tournament. The people I was supposed to show up, that were supposed to show up at the game, never showed up. So my first experiences was 8 junior high games in one day by myself. And after that, I really got hooked. So it was pretty neat. The best thing I think about officiating is the stories you get from the crew you're traveling with. Okay. Their past experiences, how they handle certain situations or what's taking place in their life. The biggest thing I think helped me become where I'm at in my career was the experiences they've had when they explain it to you, how they handle it, and how they referred back to the rule books. All that is kind of just stored in my mind. So when that situation ever comes up for me, I know how to handle that situation. And that's kind of, I think, the key when you're traveling with your crew, just talking about different experiences you could have had or have had, and pass that knowledge on to your fellow officials. So if that ever happens to them, they know how to handle it. I think one of the best parts of it is the student athletes that out there that you build a relationship with. They see you walk in the gym, they'll be, hey, what's going on, Mr. Martinez? Or, hey, how's it going, Mr. Official? And they'll give you knuckles or high fives. And I think that's some of the best part of the game, because without them, we're not there. So that's one of the good things about it. One of the biggest things is I think we need to keep on passing this torch to the younger officials and keep on recruiting it. So for the next generation, they understand how to handle things, how much fun the game really is. And without that, I think if we do that, we're setting the trend right for everybody else coming up. And I hope we all continue to do that. Most importantly, biggest thing I learned for us, have fun doing this. No matter what we do, have fun with it, because it could be taken from us in a minute. No matter, we saw that last year. We were all unsure of what was going to happen this year. And for the best reason why I have fun with it, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So the biggest portion, just have fun with it. And most of all, my advice and my experience that I could have is thanking our families for putting up with this crazy schedule. Right now, I'm on the road. My wife's driving. She knows without her that I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to function. My family wouldn't be able to function. I thank her. I thank my kids for letting me have this opportunity to be here with you guys tonight and be with the crew whenever we're calling. So those are my quick reflections throughout my career. And I hope you guys have the rest of a good year. I thank everybody. Go ahead, Walt.
Right on. And can everybody hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
I can't see you guys. Yeah, we're good?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. So I had Mark go ahead and kind of share a little bit with us, because, you know, when this topic came about, this is kind of how it came about. So COVID-19 showed up, and obviously we're in the boat that we're in. So the season ended. There was no summer basketball. The season kind of started getting closer, and there was kind of potential of no basketball season. And it kind of, you know, obviously it gets your wheels turning. I mean, personal impact, you know, your family and your officiating career. I mean, anybody who says that the money that we make doesn't make our life a little easier is probably, you know, well, it was a great spot. But, you know, I mean, it helps us all, you know. You know, the other thing for me, I just got hired in the RMAC, and I had tried out 4 times and finally got hired, and wasn't going to have the opportunity to go out and work, not because I didn't want to, because of my work regulations. And then, you know, I also was wondering, you know, how it's impacting my friends and my mentors. You know, I mean, guys that I spend time with in the season, and their families and things like that. And then, you know, obviously the big thing for me was family loss. You know, in December, I lost my grandfather, and he went from a completely, totally healthy 90-year-old man to unable to speak and gone in 2 weeks. And my grandfather was a very well-spoken man, and his actions always spoke louder than his words, but it really, really hit me that he had to go without saying what he wanted to say to his family. So all those things together kind of got me thinking that, you know what, it's you know, how does this thing end for us when it's time for us to end? And of all the camps and everything that I've gone to, you know, I've never been in one that we sit down and we talk about, you know, how do we prepare and how do we evolve as officials from the start of our career to the end of the career to get the most out of everything that we're getting. So I did a few things. You know, I had interviews with guys that helped bring me up. Some really, really positive, some really, really tough conversations. But I had long conversations with some high school mentors. I had interviews with some Division I officials. You know, Wilson Holland was kind enough to continue to give back and sit down with me for an extended period of time and really, really share some insight on his career. And Kyle Bacon, who again gives a tremendous amount to the state of New Mexico and to its officials. He spent some time, and he had a really unique take on his, because, you know, as a lot of you guys probably know, we didn't see him on TV this year because he was dealing with an injury. So it was a great conversation to sit down with a guy like that who, you know, COVID or not, unfortunately had something that got in his way of continuing to do this season. So got some great information there. And then I sent out a questionnaire to approximately 70 of our high school officials. And just to share what that questionnaire is about is it was pretty simple stuff. It was name, years of experience. And then I had, you divide your years of experience by 3. So for example, 15 years divided by 3, mathematicians, 5. So we broke that up. 5 years at the beginning of your career, 5 of the middle, and the 5 of the current year that you're in. So now that we had it broken down into some equal parts so we could do some serious breakdown and reflection, we had them answer about 8 questions. One was simple. How and why did you get into officiating? We've all been asked that question. I put some up here that you guys can look through when we email you this presentation that you can take a peek at. And some are, you know, everything from I saw it in a classified ad to get an easy A, I took the class at Western, and the rest is history. Second one, okay, it dives a little bit deeper. Okay, so what's the biggest mental difference you see in yourself now versus mentally in the first third of your career? And part A, how does that impact how does that mental difference impact your crew nightly, and how can you improve? This is one of the better answers, or not better answers, but more in-depth answers that I got. Okay, and I think that this is one I chose to share with you guys because I think it's one that like we all can say that, you know what, when we look back at our start, man, things were 1,000 miles an hour. Now, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, everything is slowed down. All right. And as a result, you know, we're a little bit more of an asset to our crew. We can focus on the job at hand. And even further with what each official is responsible for, we can be successful in what needs to be called. Okay. And I like what he put here. How can you improve? Okay. Every game I can improve my play calling, communicating, coaches with crew members. And I like this part. Working with human allows for something different to take place every time we step out in the court. And I think that that's one of those deals that's, when we talk about these little nuggets, that last piece right there, you know, it's just a simplistic piece that every time we working with humans, something different can take place every time we step out on the floor. And, you know, I just thought that was a good piece of information. This one was a little bit different. I tweaked this question a little bit. What's the biggest difference between your physical ability now in this third versus the middle third? Obviously, nobody beats Father Time. I wanted to make this question as fair as possible. So I said, you know, let's take a look back to your middle third and talk to us. And this is one that I'm going to share. All these are anonymous, but I like this one because it's pretty awesome. It says, I'm in better shape now and better shape now, and I know how to run than I was in the middle of the third of my career. I was overweight and my knees felt it, and I wasn't running properly. I like that because we don't see a whole lot of that. That's a tough, and I don't know if this guy's in here and you know who you are. Kudos to you, brother. That's awesome. Now, how does it impact your crew? I like this because he says, typically we feed off each other and you never want to be the one that's not hustling or being able to apply the rules correctly. And I think that's a good point because we are creatures of, you know, monkey see, monkey do. It's one of those deals where if, you know, it's easily to be sucked into that lull sometimes. And I think that that's a great point. And I like this also. He says, you know, how can you improve? You improve by never stop learning from the veterans and the up and coming mentors and your mentors. This one's a little deeper. It has number 2 and 3 go work together to make you who you are. And this guy pretty simple. He says they go hand in hand. As you progress in this application, you start to see the results of your hard work and dedication. He says, I truly believe working smarter, not harder, and experience and knowledge can certainly assist you with how you handle situations and communicate and successfully accomplish the task at hand. And I like what he's saying here because, you know, he's talking about experience and knowledge. And, you know, when we go through this, you know, the experience and knowledge are the things that, you know, that for the most part, we don't walk into the game with. So it's a shared piece of the entire puzzle that we're trying to build on a nightly basis. What's the most rewarding thing about being a high school official? And this was pretty much constant across the board. It's always friends and relationships, being around the kids, staying connected, and obviously the mental and physical health that comes along with working basketball, high school basketball. The most challenging, again, this was the constant. One was finding the balance between work and home. And that's a given. Okay, that's a fixed thing that's not going to change. Coaches and fans, again, fixed thing that's not going to change when we're not in a COVID era. Politics and favorites, there's politics in everything we do. And I saw some that was, you know, organization or lack thereof. That was one of the more difficult things that they thought. Question 7 was more reflective. So if you knew your officiating is going to career forever in March 2026, 5 years from now, how's it going to change what you're doing the next 5 years? And the last one, again, reflective. When you walk away, how do you want to be remembered? All right. So before I go any further, okay, I want to be clear that we're the best in the nation in several things as far as officiating goes. One, I believe we're the best. We're one of the best in training, if not the best. Okay. The NMOA goes, jumps through hoops to do the best that they can to provide the training necessary to continue to grow us as a New Mexico group. I think that we have officials that have a passion for the craft, for our crafts. And I see that when I go camping and I see guys from up north and from the east side, all over the place. I'm constantly running into people from Mexico trying to improve their craft. Our leadership, okay, from the NMOA to each one of our local groups, our leadership is bar none. And I say that because I don't think that you can have some of the best officials in the country without fantastic leadership. And that goes with any line of work. Fan base, we have the best state tournament in the entire country. We have a rabid fan base, and it gets even crazier the further north you go. And officials, I think we have some of the best people in the state, okay? So that being said, okay, I'm gonna try to lighten this up a little bit. Okay, it's story time, boys and girls, okay? As we go through this 6-minute video, try to do your best to make sure you're looking through the eyes of the little boy in the story here. It's our last meeting of the year. I thought we'd have a little fun while we try to get through this. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Referees Reading Theater. And now your host, Walt Sanchez.
Good evening, fellow referees, and welcome to another exciting edition of Referees Reading Theater. I'm your host, Walt Sanchez. And tonight, we're taking a journey up and down the magical tree trunk of The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. As we go through the book tonight, I encourage all of you referees to do your best to look through the eyes of the little boy in the story and reflect on how his journey compares to yours as an official. So without further ado, The Giving Tree. Once there was a tree. She loved the little boy. And every day, the boy would come gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches. Are we having technical difficulties?
The video isn't showing. We could hear the audio, but the video wasn't up.
Oh man, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes, you can?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna try to play from here. Test. And eat apples. And they would play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree very much. And the tree was happy. The time went by, and the boy grew older. And the tree was often alone. Then one day, the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches, and eat apples and play in the shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," the boy said. I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money? I'm sorry, said the tree, but I have no money. I only have leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money and you will be happy. And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away. And the tree was happy. The boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy. She said, "Come, boy, come climb my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm. I want a wife, and I want children. And so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you may cut off my branches and build a house, and then you will be happy." And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away and built his house. And the tree was happy. The boy stayed away for a long time, and when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I'm too old and sad to play," the boy said. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat, and he sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. After a long time, the boy came back. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." "My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I'm too tired to climb," said the boy. "I'm sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I'm sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I'm very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could, "well, an old stump is good for something. For sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest." And the boy did. And the tree was happy. The end. Thank you all for joining me tonight for another fabulous edition. I wish you all the best. Stay safe. And I look forward to hearing about what you reflected upon through the eyes of a little boy. Good night. All right, so we're back. So, like I said, last meeting, we'll have a little fun with it. Hope you guys enjoyed story time. Wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about, you know, this story that's it's a good story. But we're talking about through the eyes of little boys, all right? And before we go any further, I just want us to all to understand that, you know what? At the end of the day, we're all going to end up here. All of us are going to end up here. You know, and, you know, thinking back and reflecting a little bit on what we're taught when we first come into this thing, we're taught how to grow. Okay, we're talking about, the conversations in the bars and the cars, being a collector of those nuggets of knowledge, not being a yeah, but guy or girl. We encourage our young officials to get in locker rooms and ask questions and stay for varsity games, to find mentors, to be a good partner. We talk about how to be a good partner, for games and things like that. We encourage our everybody to go to camp, and not only to camp, but to camp hard. Get there early, stay late. What we're taught, how to grow is very, very similar, to what we see here. When we come into officiating, we gather those nuggets of knowledge. We start getting into these games, we start applying what we do, what our mentors and what the veterans teach us. And we start eating up those games, and slowly but surely we start to climb that tree a little bit. Our schedule improves. Start working closer to town. The small things, we start to see those. And as we go along our journey, we take these gifts that the games give us. We take that time when we go to camps, and it's different for all of us. Some of us is just to get away from work and the day by day. And for others, it's we take our wives and our kids and we go and we camp hard. And while we're there, we build friendships, and we have games and these road trips and these memories that we build. Tournament weekends, we get that phone call to go down and work in Hobbs, or go down and work, in Clovis or Artesia, or when we get that call to go down there, those weekends we spend down there are great. And the extra money that we make, obviously, for our families and for our kids, and, we take and we grow from this. The longer we're in this, the more we grow. And I'm flabbergasted with I can speak for the rest of the state because I understand what we have as far as our training, but I can tell you what we have down here in the Southwest, as far as some of our younger people coming up, is unbelievable to see where they've come in 3 years. So we grow, and one day that work, all of it, that work with the game, it pays off, and then suddenly, guess what? We get to play kings and queens of the forest, man. When you get that call from your assigner that says, whether it's your first playoff game where, you're going to be gone a Friday and Saturday and traveling to another part of the state, or you get that call that says, would you like to represent us for the state tournament? We're kings and queens of our forests. Okay. Nothing better than sitting at this round table right here. Nothing better than having this picture taken here. And believe me, when you're there, golly, man, you feel like my hard work has paid off. I'm here. And, sometimes we forget that heavy is the head that wears the crown. And, with experience and success comes other responsibilities. The truth of the matter is the kings and the queens of the forest have a kingdom to run. And, all that knowledge, all that stuff that gobbled us up to get, those breakthrough games and those state tournament appearances, that's knowledge that is only knowledge if it's shared with those above us and those below us, And for me, I read, when I was thinking about how I was going to put this thing together, I thought to myself, man, how has my role as that kid changed as success has come into my life? And this COVID thing kind of slammed me in the mouth a little bit, because it stopped everything for the first time for me for basketball in 35 years, just like all of you out there. And it all went away. The parts that I found that I thoroughly enjoyed, the training parts, working with the future veterans, those Monday meetings, going out and watching, that was gone. And that was what I was missing from the basketball side the most. And it got me thinking, how am I impacting my successors? And if basketball was taken away, how would I be happy with where I'm at as far as what I've given? Because the bottom line is, if we take and we take and we take until nothing's left, then how can we truly sit and take a look at what kind of impact we're leaving on those that follow us? So yes, I mean, absolutely. What I love about this business is it's so competitive. regardless of whether you agree it is or not. I mean, we're all working to get better, whether you're competing to get better to be as good as your mentor is one day, or if you're competing with yourself to make sure that when you get a block charge tonight and it's a charge, you're coming out with your hand behind your head and doing it the mechanical way. Whatever it is, you're competing. And I love that about this profession. But we've got to evolve as we compete a little bit. And we're gonna talk about the evolution of the boy, okay? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the way I'm looking at it here is it's kind of the evolution of the taker, you know? It's yeah, I love you, tree, but you know what? I'm gonna take everything that you're willing to take from me. And if we kind of flop our view a little bit, and you know, we talked about it at the beginning of this, we said, let's take a look at it through the eye of the boy. And if we reflect from our view from a different point, if we challenge yourself to reflect on your point of view a little bit, and we take a look at this, we could say, you know what, if we can shift our thinking toward a little bit more of the giving tree to those around us, how is that going to impact our state? What do our leaders look like in 5 or 10 years? And when I say that, as I say, how can we build on the leadership that I've already said is outstanding in our state? And we're the gatekeepers of that, of that leadership. So if we take a look at the evolution of the tree of the giver, you know, here are your leaves to build your crown. Here are your apples to get some money to have fun. Here are your limbs to build your house. Here's your boat to take away. You know, at the end of it, we talked about, we all end up here, right? Well, in this spot, there's only one that's still able to go, and it's the tree. And the tree is a problem solver and finds a way. I can't give you money, but you can sell my apples. I can't give you a house, but I can give you branches to build one. I can't give you a boat, but I can give you my trunk to sail away. You know what? I don't have anything else to give you, but you know what? I can give you a place to rest. You know, and I think that, you know, not talking just strictly for this book, I think that the great officials will recognize and personify both of our characteristics in this book, but with the understanding that, you know, we can't be kings forever. We can't be at the top of our game forever. I'm going to share a quote with you that Wilson Holland shared with me, and I thought it was unbelievably true. It says, the one thing that is constant is change. Everyone's journey is different. How we deal with self-preservation, how do we stay relevant? And as experienced officials, if we cannot add something of value, then don't say anything. And I thought that was very appropriate for what we're talking about tonight is, you know, be the official that's willing to give until you're done, because it, you know, like I said at the very beginning of this thing, at the end of the day, we're all going to end up here. And, you know, who are you going to be? Are you going to be an official that takes until they can't take anything else? Or are you going to be an official that gives until the very end? And I think that we're blessed. I'm going to be honest with you. I can speak for the Southwest, and I know that we have some officials who have their stamp on us forever. You know, we were talking about Mr. Powers. You know, when we talk about when we're here, okay, we're going to be one or the other. That guy may go his way. That stump is going to be there forever. And when we ask ourselves, you know what, hey, you know, are we still relevant? Are we still around? You know, it's my philosophy that, you know, Mark said it, rest in peace, but you know what? A guy like Powers is still around because of the message that he shared, the messages and the tutelage that he provided guys like Mark and the people up at Silver. So he's not gone. He's that stump right over there that's still giving, and he shows up every time Mark gets it right because that's what Mr. Powers showed him. You know, that stump is sitting right over there long after he's gone, because that stump taught me how to recognize a block charge, or how to appropriately administer a double technical. So as we move forward, the end of the season is approaching. It's a short, quick year. Summer camp season's right around the corner. Summer AAU, club, our NMOA clinics. Make a plan, and I should have put continue to grow, because as a state, I think that we grow night in and night out. And my vision for our officials in the future is for us to look back and have a bunch of officials that are still making their impact, and still sharing, and still there, even though they're not. Sorry, give me 1 second. I thank you guys all very much for listening to me rant or share with you. I share this with you guys not so much for any other reason than the fact that I think that as good as we are, we can be better. And I think that by sharing and reaching out and helping others, and paying closer attention to what we're leaving behind us, I think that's only going to continue to help us grow as a state. I put my information up there if you guys have any questions or anything. I thank you guys very much for your time. Let me see here. If anybody has any questions in here.
I don't see anything in the chat. There's a couple of comments in there. Well, not necessarily questions.
Beautiful.
Does anybody have any questions for Walt or for Mark?
Awesome. I wanted to make sure that we did our best to keep it short. It's our last meeting of the season. Good luck to all you guys finishing your season. Those of you who are selected for state, good luck to you guys. Knock it out. And if anybody ever needs anything, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always here to help out in any way I can.
Mark and Walt, that was fantastic. I think that, through the whole thing, I found myself reflecting about my career at the NMOA and officials that have made an impact on our state. And there's so many. We're so fortunate to have the foundation that we do in New Mexico with the Officials Association. And really, you guys hit a lot of points. It was, I was off camera, and it was a very emotional presentation in a lot of ways, because that giving tree, first of all, one of my favorite stories in the world. So I loved that. But then just, thinking about where do we want to leave the association, and as I get, closer to the end of my career and closer to riding off into the sunset, it was a lot of food for thought, and I appreciate that. And I hope everybody took the time to really do some self-reflection and think about what we want to leave for our state, and what we want to give back as veterans, and then what we want to learn from those veterans as newer officials. Really good stuff. I appreciate that. And I sent Nate a text and told him that I really feel like every official in the state needs to hear that in every sport, because there is such a strong message about giving back, and just the legacy that we leave as officials. So that was phenomenal. Mark, you being on the road and joining us in your presentation was outstanding. You guys hit on a lot of the stuff that I wanted to say as we kind of close this basketball season. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you for your patience, for your ability to pivot, and for staying with basketball this year and really giving kids the opportunity to participate. Thank you to everybody who presented this year. I think that having these statewide meetings, there was a lot of value in getting everybody together so we know what everybody's doing from every corner of the state, and hopefully it brings some consistency. but mostly, hopefully, it builds some relationships. I know we're on a computer screen and it's not ideal, but every week we got to be with everybody, which was really cool. Thank you to our assigners who have worked diligently this year to get games covered with a bazillion changes. I appreciate everything you're doing. And Mark mentioned it in his presentation. Thank your families. Holy cow. Behind every successful official is a really good support system. So please thank them from the NMAA and NMOA, because you can't do what you do without their support. So thank you to them. And then, on a personal note, thank you all for your support. I got the video that Nate did last week with the support of my sister, and my entire family cried for about 35 minutes after watching that. So this is a family. And if there were ever a sign of that, what you all did for me last week was certainly that. And people finally kind of understand what I mean when I talk about that importance of the officiating family. So I know that was a very long-winded thank you, but thanks to all of you for everything that you do and for giving kids the opportunity to play, because they don't get to do what they love if you don't get to do what you love. So I'm hopeful that next season will be back to what we remember at one point, and maybe we'll have some fans, and maybe we'll have to wear masks anymore. Who knows what the future holds, but I'm hopeful. So that's what we can all hang on to. I agree. That was an inspirational presentation from start to finish. So Mark, Walt, great job, great finish for the season. And well, for these meetings, you have one more next week locally, so enjoy that as well. But finish the season strong, and certainly if there's anything y'all need, just reach out and we are here for you. So have a great rest of your Wednesday night and a great rest of your week ahead, and stay safe, and thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Dana. Have a good night, everyone.
What's happening, Walt? This is Crawford.
What's up, Crawford? How are you, brother?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. Great stuff tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, man. No problem. Happy to do it.
How you been doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just pushing through a short, compact season, dude.
Yeah, really. No doubt. No doubt. So.
You good?
Yeah, man. I'm working hard. I'm working in Lovington, New Mexico, as a cop. And
right on.
Yeah, I've been doing that for between here and Hobbs for about a year now. So not too bad. I will tell you this. I've had an awesome season. What little bit we've had.